Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Peter Pedros, and I'm here together with...
Hi, I'm Renata Sandor, and I'm the Marketing Director here at PEDCO.
It's a pleasure to show you the new capabilities of the brand new version of Applied Safe 5.0. It just got approved last Tuesday, so 2 days ago, and today we want to show you a little bit what it's all in Applied Safe. What we want to talk to you is a little bit about the company and some Applied Safe 5 intro. Don't worry, it's not a demo of Applied Safe. We just show you the new things, but it's also important to show you some background information, and then we will spend the most of the time in the new features and show you some example scenarios as well. Then we will talk some configuration. Renata, you will take over some of the tailoring, and then we talk of the end user impact of the new version as well. And then we start about what's next. So let's get into it. So let's talk about PEDCO. And first thing we did is talking about digital disrupting, which is affecting every industry across the globe. And we see it now from medtech, automotive, insurance and banking, aeronautics, defense. And they're saying that they have to do something in their digital transformations. They're starting it. They're really approaching larger things, and they are really doing large transformations. And they're not building just simple systems, they're building really complex systems, the most complex systems in the world, and this involves a lot of teams. So there's a growing number of involved teams. You need to coordinate them, and most of these industries are also in a regulated environment, so you really need to be able to show and to prove that you know what you're doing and how you do those things, and to make sure that it really will happen. And this is important because we have seen that there is a new study, and when we compare it to 1955, the average life expectancy of a Fortune 500 company was 75 years. And now in 2016, all of a sudden it's 15 years and falling, and we at PEDCO, we're 6 years old now. We're almost half of it right now. So 52% of the Fortune 500 companies have disappeared in the last 15 years. And this is really something that is shocking. But what we want to talk to you is...
Yeah, it's about Agile Transformations. And in order to succeed with these digital transformations, it's so important to be agile. However, plan may not really be what reality is. So maybe your plan is, it's like riding a bike, simple, smooth, but in reality, you come across a lot of different challenges, some obstacles that you truly have to maneuver and to go through.
Yeah, and this leads to the question which we hear from enterprise: how can we make sure that we are the ones who succeed? Because we don't want to fail, and there were failures as well. And from our customers, we hear sometimes Applied Safe, that is something that really helps us, and they call it even that's their navigation system, such an investment, navigation system for such an endeavor. And of course, that is something that makes us pretty happy as well. So now we will talk about Applied Safe 5 introduction and some statistics, and of course it starts with the big picture. Big picture of Safe 5.0 just came out 2 weeks ago from Scaled Agile. We have been working on it since 6 months. We invested far more than one person here just to go and upgrade on Applied Safe on Safe 5.0. And talking about the Safe 5.0, for us, that's a reference model. And the first step of us is always that we say, this is the new model. We analyze it. We got it in September, October, the first version. And then we say, what has been changed? What is updated? What is new? What is conceptually different? That means changed for us. Or what is just containing new text, new words, new pictures? And what has been not touched? It's 84% of the content that has been touched. So only 16% of the whole content has been touched. So this is really something that was a big work in front of us. And we do that since quite a while. We started in 2.5 5 years ago, and we are at 5.0. And we see here on the upper left the % change for Applied Safe. So every new version of Safe implied about 50% change for Applied Safe up to 62. And this 86% change in the SAFe framework resulted in a 62% change for applied SAFe. So it's the largest change we ever had. In the middle, we see how it grew, and this is really amazing to see how that framework grows steadily. It's the real knowledge and it's the best practices which are coming from the industry, which helps to grow the framework. So we started with a little bit less than 2,000 process elements, and now we hit the barrier of 6,000 process elements. So there's a lot more knowledge into that framework, and this is really a cool thing to see how it grows. The latest thing, we will talk about it, like business agility and design thinking, which comes into the framework. That's really something that helps you. Something that I like very much in the metrics that we think is the growth rates of applied SAFe 2.5 to 5.0. We see now in the first version we had 35%, 54% growth in the framework from 3.0 to 4.0, 25, 27, 12. So in a trend, you could have a small line here. It looks like the growth of the framework is slowing down, but this has also to do with the fact that the framework got bigger and bigger, and with that, even the same amount of changes will reflect in a lower rate of growth rate. We see also the number of process elements which have been changed, the yellow line here, and this is really something that we see it every day. Things are getting better, things are getting improved, new ideas coming into the framework. And if you see that it grows so fast and it grows in every new version, then something comes into play as well.
Yeah, so as Peter just mentioned, there's more content, there's more information that you need to read and you need to understand. And because of this, communication is key. Because imagine you have hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands of individuals within your company. They might have a little bit of a different perspective on the terminology, on the different aspects of SAFe. So it's very important to stay aligned and that the communication is crystal clear within these organizations. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you may understand or you may have seen it yourself. You have different Confluence pages, you have various tools like Jira to Excel spreadsheets, and then of course the same SAFe framework. And we have taken all of these different aspects and this content and broke it all down and put it into applied SAFe itself. So it's that model-based processes that you have versus these non-harmonized documents that you may have to search for in various different locations. And so with applied SAFe, of course, you have you are able to implement SAFe fast and precise. You're able to customize and extend it, and this we'll also talk about later in the presentation. You're able to establish compliance, but last and definitely not least, you're able to learn, innovate, and improve. And this presentation itself, it truly is about applied SAFe 5.0, so we're not going to go into this in detail. If you are interested, please feel free to reach out, but let's stick to 5.0.
And next week, we will do a special session on general applied SAFe, what it is, and there we will talk exactly about these things. Just look up on our webpage and register for the training next week. Mm-hmm.
And then, however, we do want to show you some of the proven benefits. You're able to master the complexity through these tailorings. You're able to improve the clarity within your organization with less discussion times. And of course, you're adapted to your needs and continuously improve as you move forward.
Cool, thanks. So now we talk about the new version. Yeah. The new version applied SAFe 5.0. And you see the beautiful mountain here, and if you have ever been there, you will never forget. It's the Haleakala crater in Maui. And as you know, each new version of applied SAFe is named after a beautiful mountain. We started with the Swiss mountain, Matterhorn. Then we had the Denali version, then we had the Cerro Torre, and now we have the Haleakala. And people that know me probably know that I lived 1.5 years in Maui as well. And when I saw Dean and the whole fellow team in San Diego at the SAFe Summit wearing these Hawaii shirts for the SAFe 5.0, I knew the next version must be named Haleakala as well. So that's why it's called Haleakala.
Yeah, And so with SAFE, you've probably seen there's 7 core competencies now versus the 5. There's 2 new ones. There's updates to the previous ones, new name changes, and these are all going to be implemented in new practices, pointing to different context-based in activities, which we will go into. This is just kind of an overview that you see in SAFE 5.0. There are the new competencies. And next, of course, there's also new guided tours. May that be business agility, governance, or updated core competencies. And these we're definitely going to be going deeper into. And you know what? Let's just dive right into Applied SAFE.
Yes. And now when we go into the tool, we turn off the camera, so we have more space for the tool and less space needed for us. So bye-bye.
Bye.
And we turn off the camera. And now we are going to Applied SAFE. For that, I'm going to the cloud server, which is only actually in Germany. You see, it's a cloud server, and we go into the staging environment, to the full SAFE configuration, and I'm just pressing F11 so that we have full screen here. Which should work, and now it worked as well. I make the screen a little bit bigger. So good. And the first thing we wanted to talk about is implementation of guided tour, and this is something that really opens a new perspective of the scaled agile framework. And for example, we can click here on business agility, and something that is pretty cool is, and I shouldn't have pressed F11. So something that is really cool if you open that is that you have 2 views. It's much cooler if you have 2 screens, of course. You can click on the guided tour on one window, and then you get the information for it, which is really helping where it is really residing on. For example, if you click on here, it will change the context as well. So if you click on how we get here, then we have some explanation on what is customer centricity doing. So this is some text which we have from the business agility article, but of course this is something that goes much deeper, and this is deeper in the customer centricity. So we see here the practice of customer centricity on the enterprise level as well. And what we see here is that it talks about processes and the process requirements and so forth. And the point behind that is that if we talk about customers on an enterprise level, it's the customers of people using that Applied SAFE. So we are talking about delays with seeing their customers, and so these are the users of SAFE. So we are talking about the process architecture, and so forth. So what we also see here is if you click on the operating system, and this is really something new information as well, we have a beautiful explanation of what SAFE for lean agile enterprises mean. And this is all different on the different levels, and for of course on the enterprise level. It means talking about processes and so forth. Also new is in Applied SAFE is the measure and grow, and you see it as a small text in the business agility text, but it's not just a little text, it's a lot of a concept behind it, how we should measure and grow and use the business agility self-assessment as well. This is not everything. We have also, if we go back on the enterprise, we have also a guided tour for the governance, and this has been dramatically enhanced as well. And if you look at, it has brand new 9 new sub-practices. For example, we can click here on applying lean estimating forecasting, and you see that there's some information in the governance article, but there's a whole practice which for that is used as well. And you see here also which training we recommend to use that, and it's the SAFE for governance training as well. So then we see the next, modifying acquisition practices for lean agile, and this is something that we see the practice, good patterns, anti-patterns, but it's not only that we are talking about that you should do something in practice, but in Applied SAFE, we have fully blown up processes for that. So we're talking about how to deal with traditional suppliers, agile dual suppliers as it is supposed in the scaled agile framework. And this is really what we can do. So really showing you directly from a different viewpoint angle what is SAFe all about. So there's another building quality and compliance. And now if we're talking about compliance and quality on an LACE level, on an enterprise level, we will talking about quality of the process itself. So it's a meta process which is talking about cells. So we are assessing processes, we are proving processes, we are piloting process changes. So this has all to do with total quantity management and how to establish lean agile systems in an organization. It's the true thing to get an organizational learning. Okay, let's go stop with the guided tours because it's a lot of information in one screen. So we are going back to enterprise.
Yep.
So.
And on the enterprise level, I just wanted to show you just the image up here. As I mentioned earlier, we do have the 7 core competencies, all with new practices or guided tours, and everything on here is clickable. So you can click into each one and then that new practice or guided tour will open. In addition, we also have the customer centricity, which is new, design thinking, which is new. And all of these we're going to show you later, but I do want to show you the possibility that everything is clickable and you can get to these practices, guided tours, etc. this way. And so now, Peter, you could take it away from here.
Yeah, Renata talked about communication is key, and of course, this communication is also supported by processes used by the LACE members and or the quality managers. And for that, we have also processes in place, of course, as well. And for example, here we have the organizational process focus. So we are talking about process assessment, process definition, improvement management, how to train that and how to roll out those processes in place. But because this needs all to be in place when we're talking about that. And if you go into process assessment, we see that each new step starts with a self-assessment of how good are we doing. And this is also the facilitate effective self-assessment. This has been there since quite a while, but now brand new, we have the business agility self-assessment. And this is really a very cool thing. And we like that very much how it is set up. And here you would get the template. You get also some activities where it's used for and what you can do as well. And yeah, and then and that is also something that we were talking about in the enterprise. And something that we see in the practices as well is that we have a lot of practices involved in the scaled agile and applied SAFe. So we see we have a lot of practices about agile HR with SAFe, implementation, governance, compliance, and so forth. And if you scroll down, we have a brand new part, which is the design thinking. Design thinking is brand new, and it's not only that we have it as a practice here, because that turned out to be a complete new process, new work products, and so forth. So what we are doing here, we're clicking on design on the solution. What we see is that we have an activity with certain work products and outputs defined. And of course, there's also a practice, and we are talking about here, you do that, you need to design with personas. And here we get the information, hey, yeah, we have carried a consumer, and you should ask these personas and work with that. And we started doing that as well. This is something that works quite well, right, Renata?
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
So we are just going back to design the solution, which was the same thing where we have been before. And then we see that we have a lot of inputs. And one of the inputs here is the empathy map. Empathy map. And this is really a cool concept here as well. And you see what it is, what you can do with that, and where it is used for in these input activities and its output of understanding the problem. So you say, what is the map? And very interesting is that in design thinking, we have a lot of new work products. If you look at the coloring here, we see that we have the dark blue items. This means that they existed in the versions before, and the light blue items are those which came in new with the newest version. So they're all new from 5.0. So we see here now that we have a solution which consists of systems, several systems, and each system can be nested as well, can consist of systems. So this is the composite pattern here. And newly, we talk a lot about in SAFe 5.0 about products, about services, prototypes as well. And now we had quite some discussions on how do we really understand that. And now we see that product and services are some kind of systems with special attributes as well. And both product and service are working with personas, and the persona is a part of a customer journey map, and it is represented by an empathy map as well. So this is really how we understood, and this brings that clarity and the easiness to understand what is really new and how are these things all related together. Then, of course, we have also portfolio, new work product on portfolio. If you go on the work products of portfolio, there's one new work product. I press F11 again, hoping that we have a full screen. Scrolling down a little bit, and now we see one light blue element, portfolio vision. A little bit sad for us, it was existing since two previous versions, because we always thought it's cool to have portfolio vision, but now it's also in SAFe. Before it was the portfolio canvas, and by clicking on it, you will get on the details of the portfolio vision, of course, what you see here. But what we also think is very important, that we have an overview of how such a vision evolves with the business strategy, with the strategic teams, how it influences the solution vision, and how it's affected by the investments of the lean budget. And that's its own balancing. So that is, again, a picture how it all moves together.
Yeah, and so now we're actually going to go back to the enterprise level. And as you may have seen, SAFe has also updated lean principles. In addition, they added a principle number 10, organizing around value. So over here, you can see the organizing around value. And here, let me just go down to the 10th principle. You can see all the description of exactly what this principle means. But more importantly, you can see all of the activities that are connected with this principle. And here, the customer is the practitioners of SAFe itself. So you see very specific activities for the enterprise level. However, what's going to be interesting is I'm actually going to go into the program level with it, which is in the essential configuration. Again, go to the SAFe principles and number 10. And now what you will see is there are different activities, and this is because the customer is the user of the system. And so we're talking about the solution that needs to be built. So we have activities such as the PI planning, the team breakouts, reviewing the program epic, and etc., because these are very specific to the system itself.
Again, we talk here about vision and roadmap maintenance. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Something that is also new, because there's so many new things, we just can show you a glimpse on what everything is new, is on the solution, a large solution level. And we have shown you activities, new roles, work products, and so forth, but also milestones are new. For example, we have some phases and milestones. You know that we have that simplified Deming circle, plan, do, check, act here. And there are two new milestones, solution train sync and architect sync. And this is also something that is reflected in the processes. For example, if we go into solution development, and we're going to see, there's a conduct solution train sync, because it's also an activity. And so here we see there's a solution planning board, the risk management plan. We have solution backlog, improvement sort. This is something that we really say, we talked about, we know now what to do, and we can improve it as well.
Yeah. So now we're actually going to go to, I would say, the home page of our staging environment. And Peter's going to talk a little bit about the configurations.
Yeah, there we have different configurations. For example, we have the essential safe, large solution safe, portfolio safe, and full safe. So if we click on full safe, for example, and we go on the processes, then we see that we have a lot of the processes involved here. We talk about this OPF process, which we have seen before, but also about strategic management, organizational learning, governance, acquisition, and so forth. If you take now the same configuration, we go back to the staging environment and go on an essential safe configuration, click on the same icon on enterprise, and we see, hey, this is really narrowed down to the bare minimum of what we shall do. And this is strategic management and organizational learning. So there are quite some differences which are reflected on that scene. And of course, more interesting than just seeing these different processes is that we have different views. And so, for example, we can go again on the portfolio, on the program level, clicking on the program level. And now if you're clicking here on vision, then we see how the vision evolves. And in an essential safe, there's no portfolio vision of a large solution or whatsoever. So we say, hey, we have to align our solution vision with the enterprise vision and with the enterprise strategy. And that is what we are doing. Now, if you look at the very same thing in a different configuration, like for example, the full safe configuration, we go again into program, and now we click on vision again. So it's all the same thing. Here we say, hey, you have to align your program vision with the solution vision, which is all coming from the large solution. So because that is really something else, and this is really a cool thing. And probably you have also noticed really cool, different, very small thing, because the large solution, the solution context, it switches the places where it is. Here in the full safe configuration or large solution configuration, it is to be found on the large solution. If we go on a portfolio safe configuration, there's no place to hold the large solution. So the solution context, so it will be on the essential level. And this is really the reality which we see in our models and the work with that. So we really have to be precise about that. But sorry, that is really something that really triggers me, and I could spend hours on this topic, but we would like to show you other things as well. So let's go back to program.
And you may be asking yourself, how are these different configurations steered? So what is needed? What would I essentially do to get these different configurations?
So let's assume that you're in a program, you're in a release train engineer. And what we see here now is that you have a stop sign and the program is all fixed. And this is what people would see and would work against. But we have set it up that way that the release train engineer can change its very own process where he is responsible in his own endeavor. And only the release train engineer, if I would be one, or I am now in here, I can change the process version. So this is all on the version management control. So I can select working revision and I go back to the start page. And now I see it has disappeared. And this is now only visible for me. What I can do with that, I can change it. And I just can't change anything, but I can do a tailoring, a specific tailoring, which is guided by Applied Safe. And this is built on the built-in questions which I can answer. So there are several questions which I can adopt or enhance as a customer. Say, hey, there's a portfolio safe configuration for business critical youngsters, whatsoever, and then we have specific UX practices in it. Or I can just say we are very specific, and then I go into some specific, and then I get really the questions which are coming from the scaled agile framework. So here, it's still a portfolio safe configuration, of course. And now I can start asking these questions which are coming from the scaled agile framework. Does your train need to be coordinated with other trains? Probably you started with essential safe, and it wasn't needed before, but now all of a sudden it's needed, so you can say yes to that. And there are other questions in safe. Do you need a system team for a large value stream? No, we are not that far yet. We don't need it. And these are questions which are easy to answer for the release train engineers. So for example, your team has to choose in the inspector lab, do they want to work with program epics? Does it add value or not? You can take it away or put it in. So you can say yes or no here. So these are all easy to answer questions. And by answering these questions, it will really tailor the process to the specific needs. So let's say here no. And we say preview. And by doing that, it will really create its own instance in Applied Save. Just say save here. We change some things of the model. And now if we go into Epic Kanban, the before existing program epics have been. We could also, each user can set it up the way that he sees it in dashed lines or not. So this is really something that changes.
Great. And one of the other important facts is the fact that we want to learn continuously. And one of the great ways to learn how to implement the SAFe framework is the implementation roadmap. So as we go to that, you will notice, and I'm sure you already know, that it changed. And actually, the step number 12 has completely changed its name, and it is now Accelerate. So as we click on it, actually all of these is clickable, and it will open up new practices. So as I click Accelerate, you will see the absolute new practice and all the new content, as well as all of the activities that this practice is connected with as well. And yeah, let me just go back to the implementation roadmap.
Yeah, another interesting point is the LACE, the Lean Agile Center of Excellence, right here in the middle. And of course, you can click on that as well. And what they're doing, they're showing you how you can set up a LACE team. And of course, there are different variations. You can have a mission statement, you can have a centralized team, decentralized, hub and spoke. And this is something that is also reflected in these organizational process focus. And so we're going there, and then it's usually the same thing that we do in each PI cycle. Some companies at 6 months have this cycle time from up here to down here, that we do a process assessment, then we do a definition of the process, we do an improvement management, which is a kind of, which is an agile development as well. It's an agile team here as well. They do the organizational process training and the process deployment. And of course, if you go into the organizational process training, we see here some activities as well. For example, train teams and launch agile release trains. So we see here also what teams are and what they're doing. So we see also, we talk about skill metrics, how the people are and how they are trained, which knowledge do they already have, and so forth. So this is really something that helps you quite a bit.
Yeah, and of course, as we mentioned, these are just some of the snippets of the updates that happen in Applied Safe, and there's a ton more that we're more than happy to share with you. But as the demo comes to an end, we'd like to round up and show you how does this make an impact on the roles as well as the outlook of the platform. So now we're actually going to go back into the slide deck, and then Peter will kind of share with you what is this end user impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a topic, how can you make sure that the right roles invest the least time needed to ensure and to get all the knowledge and not wasting their time. So we really see what the end user impact shall be. And so for the SPCs, leaders, managers, change and process coaches, we see that you should talk about the 7 core competencies of the lean enterprise and some practices like chartering portfolio vision, design thinking, customer centricity, and of course talking about business agility, and not only talking about, but really doing it. So and then of course organizational agility is only relevant for configurations with portfolio included. For the quality managers, lean portfolio managers, scrum masters, we talk about the design thinking. Customer centricity is the most important. Of course, also business agility. And then to look at that, we have the revised and extended instantiation approaches based on the structured tailoring. So there were a lot of new tailoring built into it as well. For a process engineer perspective, it's that you have to look at the new work products and how the model is understood, and that you can reflect it in the revised safe configurations as well.
Yeah, and now let's just kind of look to the outlook and the future of Applied Safe as well.
And those which have already seen and our demos, they know that we are running on a process management platform, and this is the world-leading process management platform Stages, and it has two versions of it. The previous versions, which we just demoed, is a version 6.6. There's a new version 7.4, but some customers are still on 6.6. So we'll continue to develop on 6.6 so that we are compatible for all our customers, but also we deploy each new version on the newest version of Stage 7 as well. Right now it's 7.4, just came out some weeks ago, and here we see the new version of 4.6. We will do that in the next weeks to come up with the new version on 7.4 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so of course, not only has Applied Safe been updated, but also our website with the updated training calendar for the year 2020, updated conferences, as well as updated materials. So now we have the brochure, fact sheet, and the placemat all about Applied Safe 5.0, giving you all of these small little tidbits and insights and benefits of Applied Safe and how it can ultimately help you within your digital transformation.
And you got the new brochure in the webinar documents. So,
yes,
right? Yeah,
yes, that's true.
Yeah, now it's just when can we have it? The answer is easy right now. You can have it immediately, and if you want to see more, get in contact with us or register for the regular Applied Safe demos, or we are always happy to do you a specific demo where we can go into your own specific needs, talking about specific things, for example, micro learnings, talking about establishing a LACE, or talking about how to fulfill regulatory requirements and so forth. This is really something that likes us. We can also demo to you how we map with ASPICE, with FDA, with FFIEC, and various other reference models. So we really know what we are talking about.
Yeah, so if you're ready to have a digital transformation or looking to scale agility within your organization, then Applied Safe is for you. So as Peter mentioned, please feel free to contact us, reach out to us via email, our website, tweet us, LinkedIn us, call us. So we're truly here to help and support you in this endeavor.
Yeah, and Renata, I just realized time flies by. We are really almost at the end, and we should answer some questions, and we were preparing for that. And let me just go through a question here. There's one question. What happens? I try to spell it. Really dig through. What happens if Safe comes up with a new release, and I did all those tailorings or even some own changes and extensions? I think that's from you.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Good. For that, I would like to go back to Applied Safe because that is something that is all natural. That is true for all our customers. And of course, we have here on the enterprise level described that you can update such things. For example, here we have practices defined, and it's very natural that you will extend Applied Safe. And what we will deliver if we come up with a new version is we have a so-called process update. So you would have a portfolio extended, enterprise extended, programs extended, and so forth. And now if you're a program and you're part of that LACE team, you probably want to say, hey, we have been on 3.0, that is quite some time ago, and we want to have a new version of 3.4. So what we want to do is to update that now. And so we click on update, and then it shows you what kind of settings and how you do that in the tool, in our platform, and what the settings are to do so. And as long as there are no conflicts at all, it just will run really smoothly. This is a really heuristical approach, and as long as there are no conflicts, it will add new things, and it will leave your things which you added untouched, and it will all works automatically pretty well. Mm-hmm. The only point when you have to be interacting with the system is if things changed on both sides. So we changed something in Applied Safe, and you changed something, the very same thing on your side as well. Then it's not clear what has a higher priority. warranty. And if such a thing happens, and this is rather seldom, for example, a lot of companies like to rename a role name, and if we renamed it then as well, then it would be a conflict. Or here on an activity, for example, then the system will show you visually what the content is of that element, differences are, or what the difference are in the assignments, or the difference in the properties. And depending on what you see here, you can say, I want to stay on the newest versions, I go back to the trunk, or I want to stay on my branch. You can do that for each element. And this is really something that works quite well and has been used by several companies in big implementations over several years. So this is really a bulletproof functionality which works. And if you know from programming or from modeling, branching and merging, it's exactly that functionality which we have in the platform as well. Is there another question?
Yeah, I think I see one more, and it's actually probably for me, so I'll take that over. And the question says, who is going to help us to implement SAFe with Applied SAFe? And that's an easy answer for us.
Shall I show the?
Yeah,
okay.
actually go to,
yeah, you can.
Sorry about that. Yeah, go to the PEDCO partner network as well, because we're here with you every step of the way. But we also have transformation partners worldwide, which you'll actually see Peter just brought up our partner director, and you'll see that we have partners in the US and in Europe, countries like Germany and France, South Africa, and even our most recent partner, which is in the United Arab Emirates. So we're very excited because we have partners all over the world that can help you where you are, where you're located. However, it is also our concept that our customers can do these extensions and adaptations by themselves. So we also do provide quality manager training, deployment training, engineering and metrics to make sure that you are fit enough to do this. And actually next week, we have a quality manager training, which we're very excited about.
Yeah, we'll be in New York and San Francisco next week. And this week, Monday, I just have been in the United Arabian Emirates. And we will comply over wherever you are. If you want to improve your process, adopt your process, we will never leave you alone. But it's really our concept to make you self-sustaining with that as well. If you don't want to do that, we could help you with that as well. This is also a service which we are providing. This is something that we do. I think we talk now a lot about it. Actually, we have 51 partners. Just click on one of these continents, and then you will see a list.
Cool.
Okay, I think Renato, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening.
We are respecting our time box. We are exactly at 45 minutes. So there are other questions here. We will answer them directly in an email or get in contact with you. Don't worry. And so I think we're going to leave you today with that. And if you're more interested, next Tuesday is the next session. And all the best from Switzerland. My name is Peter.
And Renata.
And we both say goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, of course, we forgot to show our address and phone number. Here's the place you can reach us and your website. So again, have a nice evening and nice afternoon.
Bye-bye.